Hi there, this is Solitron from Solitron Films, and welcome to another double take. And today's double take features The Lodger from 1944 and Hangover Square from 1945. Both these films are directed by John Bram, and they both star George Sanders, which is why I bought them. But really, the star of the show is Laird Cregar. Laird Cregar is your classic character actor, a Hollywood heavy that sadly died way too young at the age of 31. The first film I saw him in was 1941's I Wake Up Screaming with Victor Mature as a cop with an unhealthy obsession, which is just a fantastic performance. He also appeared in This Gun for Hire and in Ernst Lubitsch's Heaven Can Wait with Don Amici as the devil, and he gives a wonderful performance as the devil as well. But it wasn't until 1944's The Lodger, which is a remake of Alfred Hitchcock's silent film called The Lodger. But this one is just absolutely fantastic. It's about Jack the Ripper, and Laird Cregar plays Jack the Ripper. He plays a pathologist who is taking up lodgings in a house, and he's a bit odd and acts a bit odd. And George Sanders is the police inspector. But what makes The Lodger so special is Cregar's performance, because he's not playing Jack the Ripper as just a lunatic. He's very soft-spoken. He is almost effeminate at times, due to kind of censorship. This version of Jack the Ripper kills showgirls, girls who sing in the theatre and dance in the theatre rather than prostitutes, because the word prostitute was a big no-no. But kind of even more subversively, the kind of reasoning for why he's killing these women is because these women led astray his painter brother, who he feels is a genius, and he does seem to have a rather unhealthy affection for his brother, who's dead. There's a scene where he shows a picture to the landlady of his brother, a self-portrait, and he talks about his eyes and how sensitive his lips are, and it's definitely something going on that they somehow managed to get through the censors. Cregar himself was gay. He viewed himself as a grotesque. He wanted to avoid being typecast as heavies. Sadly, that kind of caused his death, because after The Lodger, which he never actually saw released, he wanted to have surgery. He was dieting severely. He'd lost about £100, but he wanted to have surgery to lose even more weight, and sadly he didn't recover from the surgery and had a couple of heart attacks and died, which is quite tragic that we never actually saw more of him. His performance in The Lodger is just sensational. He humanises Jack the Ripper. You actually feel for him, you actually empathise with him. And it's only really at the end that you see more of a kind of animalistic kind of side coming out. It's really beautifully shot. There's lots of fog and just wonderful framing and compositions. It's a really expressionistic film. George Sanders is actually sidelined because it's really Laird Cregar's film. And if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. This is the Kino Lorber release. It has 2 commentaries and it has a really nice making of The Lodger. And it's also got the radio show version of The Lodger, performed by Vincent Price and Cathy Lewis, and it's a really lovely print. So I'd highly recommend picking that one up. Because Laird Cregar's performance is kind of way ahead of its time. I would kind of put it up there with Carol Boyum's performance and Michael Powell's Peeping Tom, as far as actually making a serial killer or a murderer not just a one-dimensional crazy person. Speaking of more than one dimension, because The Lodger was so much of a success, they followed up the following year with pretty much the same team for Hangover Square. And this one, Laird Cregar is actually top billing, and he plays a composer who suffers from blackouts and may or may not do violent things while he has his blackouts. And again, this is just a complex, nuanced performance by Laird Cregar. Again, it's just like ahead of its time. He plays a composer who's working on a concerto, and that's kind of his good side, but he kind of gets taken advantage of by a kind of theatre showgirl to write songs for her. That kind of takes him away from what he really should be doing. And every now and again he has these episodes where he doesn't know where he is or what he's doing. Again, George Sanders plays the police force in it, and he's as good as always. But again, these films are both Laird Cregar films, kind of in the way that I Wake Up Screaming was, rather than Victor Mature. Bernard Herrmann did the score for Hangover Square, and it's really got a wonderful set piece at the end where Laird Cregar's character finally gets to play his concerto, and it's just a beautiful piece of music, and it's foreboding and it's dark, just like the film. And again, it's a great performance by Laird Cregar. It's nuanced, it's 2 different sides of a personality, and again, for 1944 1945, it's really complex performances, and it is a tragedy that we never really saw more of them. So I should say the extras on Hangover Square again are another 2 commentaries, and there's actually the Tragic Mask, the Laird Cregar story featurette, which is highly recommended as well. Kino Lorber Region A, so if you don't have a multi-region player, I advise you get one, because some of the Kino Lorber releases are really good, because they do a really good job of old kind of noirs and things like that. But these are two really good films. The Lodger is just absolutely fantastic, as far as atmosphere and just performance. And I just really thought I would highlight Laird Cregar, who might be one of those guys that just falls between the cracks. He was only in films for 5 years, but his performances were just like way ahead of their time. So please let me know if you've seen both these films and what you think of them. What's your favourite Laird Cregar performance? And hopefully we'll see you again. This is Solitude Ronan saying thanks very much for watching, and farewell.